In a segment on Fox News, Republican pollster Frank Luntz predicts that Bernie Sanders will be the Democratic nominee. Watch.
Half of Trump voters supporting AOC's 70% marginal tax rate. I mean, and you wouldn't know that from the coverage. You would think it's purely a left-wing position.
It's because the public is really frustrated about being forgotten or left behind. And those two emotions which elected Donald Trump are alive and well, not just on the right, but also on the left. It's the reason why Bernie Sanders did so well in 2016 and why, I'll be blunt with you, I think he's the most likely nominee in 2020. And I'll tell you something. Republicans should want that because Sanders cannot appeal to the overall mainstream of the American people, and they should be scared to death if they get someone like Colorado Senator Michael Bennet, who there is no issue about socialism. He's not on the extreme, he's in the mainstream. But the reason why Sanders polls so well is because he is so left-wing.
All right. Frank Luntz ties himself into a knot here. So first off, I think he makes the correct prediction that Bernie Sanders will be the Democratic nominee. But then he says that Republicans should be excited about that because he thinks that Bernie can't win. Even though seconds before, he said that the public was frustrated, they felt left behind and forgotten, and that, much like Trump, Bernie speaks to that. So if Trump was able to win an election based on the public being left behind and forgotten, why wouldn't Bernie Sanders, who has some actual policies to help people that feel left behind and forgotten, why wouldn't Bernie Sanders be able to win? Not to mention what Howard Kurtz starts the clip off with, saying that half of Trump voters support AOC's tax of 70% on money made over $10 million. So if half of Trump voters support that, doesn't that speak to someone like Bernie Sanders being able to actually defeat Donald Trump? I think Frank Luntz here is in denial. I think it's clear that if Bernie Sanders wins the nomination, he will become president. All the information's there. All you have to do is look at polling on issues. Medicare for all. The majority of Americans support it, including a majority of Republicans. Higher taxes on the rich and multinational corporations. Same thing. Majority of Americans support that. Ending the wars. The majority of Americans support that. Getting big money out of politics. Addressing corruption. The majority of Americans support all of these policies. Yet somehow Bernie can't win. So he has no argument to make because Bernie speaks to the same feeling that a lot of Americans have, which is why a lot of them decided to take a chance on Donald Trump, who they saw as an outsider, as somebody different, and it failed. Trump is a fraud. A lot of people didn't know that before they voted for him. I think a lot of people that voted for him now realize that. Now, again, there is, a very vocal base that Trump has, a very dedicated base that Trump has that will not be swayed regardless. So there's no point going after those people. But when it goes to the voters that, for example, voted for Obama, then voted for Trump, someone like Bernie Sanders can absolutely win those voters over. All you have to do is look at some polling on these issues and realize that the vast majority of Americans agree with Bernie Sanders' platform.